All right, so what is this called? We are the Cinehorde. Screw it, we're gonna call it that. We are the Cinehorde. Uh, I am Captain Gimpy, and this is what do you call yourself on WordPress?
Oh, I call myself Zen Buro.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh, you changed. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you're Zen Buro. I'm Captain Gimpy.
Yeah.
Um, and we went to go see
Godzilla,
Pacific
King of
Rim
the
5.
Monsters.
Wait, it wasn't Pacific Rim 5.
No. No, it wasn't Pacific Rim 5.
So wait, is that why John Boyega wasn't in this movie?
Yeah, these are two different universes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's called a multiverse.
wait. So how come in Pacific Rim they call them kaiju's, and in this movie that I thought was Pacific Rim they call them titans?
To avoid copyright.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So what do we really see?
We're seeing Godzilla.
Wait, we saw, right? Or we see?
Yeah,
Wait, I
we
don't know.
saw it.
So Tywin Lannister's in it.
Yeah,
Vera Farmiga's in it. Kyle Chandler, who always reminds me of really generic characters for some reason. Uh,
yeah,
he's in there, and the girl from Stranger Things is in here. Millie Bobby Brown, I think
yep,
her name is. Um, and so, disclaimer: neither of us really liked 2014, and we have many reasons why. Uh,
yeah,
we're aware that this tries for continuity with it, and uh, it doesn't work for us. So we just took this as if it was the first Godzilla movie and tried to figure out what was happening. Um,
right.
Monarch is a staple in the Godzilla universe in later years, even in Japan. Um, so it kind of uses that, and it's kind of like this Titan monitoring agency that is originally tasked with monitoring Godzilla, and then they expand to monitor the other ones later.
Yeah,
They're kind of like the Men in Black in a way.
yeah, in a way. But yeah, it's mostly a alpha battle between Ghidorah and Godzilla, which is pretty cool because they
So
take the whole concept of nature and all that.
why are they fighting?
Ghidorah's from space, Godzilla's Earthborn. So when Ghidorah crashes into the Earth, he
Yeah,
vies for dominance, pretty much like any invasive creature would in
right.
a new ecosystem. So
It was pretty interesting in that, like, and this time they actually had kaiju fights.
yeah, there were like, claws like heads being grabbed and atomic breaths blown.
Yeah, and like some people have talked about how there's still too much cutting away,
Oh
but
yeah. The-
honestly, I don't know. Do you think that's just an American aesthetic choice rather than like a problem with the movie in this case?
Yeah, that's what I chalk it up to, an American aesthetic decision. I wasn't really bothered by it. I was just happy to see like some actual fighting.
Like, yeah, I felt the same way because in the last movie, they literally cut away before you saw anything happen. It
Yeah.
was like, my fist is coming toward you, and then they cut to people running around. My other
Mhm.
fist is coming toward you, and then they cut to people running around before I ever make contact. That's what the other film was like.
Yeah.
This one, I got to see like monsters like fight each other.
Yeah, yeah. And
That
I liked all the references to the other films.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about Dr. Sarazawa in this movie.
Yeah, Ken Watanabe's character, Suruzawa, he's like inverted from the Suruzawa in the original Gojira. So that was interesting to see.
Yeah,
Suruzawa obsessed with destroying the monster, whereas this one, he's he considers Godzilla like part of the ecosystem, something to protect.
right. And like that's one of the perennial themes in Godzilla movies, I think.
Yeah,
'Cause
so I was surprised that they gave his character more screen time and dialogue than in the first movie, which I barely remember.
yeah, they killed Bryan Cranston before like the hour mark.
Yeah,
And,
so
and then Watanabe didn't really have a lot of screen time in that movie.
mhm.
And so I was forced to like watch people running around in 2014 and listen to people that I didn't care about.
Yeah.
Um, in this movie, like the only difficult part for me was like the first 30 minutes because they were trying to like bridge the continuity between this movie and 2014. And
Yeah.
I just didn't remember anybody or anything from 2014 because, you know, I kind of wanted to block it out, honestly. Um, but so for a quick plot summary, I know we've already said that it's an alpha battle, but Orca from the last movie is perfected in this film. Vera
Yep.
Farmiga's character and Kyle Chandler's character, whose names I don't remember because they still didn't really develop them as people. They were just kind of plot devices.
Mhm.
Um, to me, um,
No, I felt the same way about them. Like they were two polarizing views in the film just to get the plot going.
right, like to summarize their views, like Vera Farmiga's character is like, okay, we have to wake up the Kaiju or the Titans
Yeah.
to reset the Earth, to demolish everything and let Earth restore itself. And some of us will survive, and others of us won't, and we'll
Mhm.
rebuild the Earth a better way. And Kyle Chandler's character is like, no, these are horrible. These are monsters. They kill. That's what they do. So we should destroy them. And that's it. And they just fight over their daughter while they're fighting over this.
Yeah.
That's really all you need to know about them.
Mhm.
Um, they were okay. I mean, but I don't know. I saw them being in the movie as a waste of talent. Um,
Yeah.
if not for the girl played by Millie Bobby Brown, I probably would have just watched the movie and ignored the humans.
Yeah.
um, that being said, there's a lot of good things in this movie. Um, Rodan got to like kill a squadron of fighter planes, which was
Yeah, and he was in a volcano in Mexico, which I found kind of interesting.
dude. It was like watching like an upscaled version of Power Rangers that had a better story than the movie did.
Yeah, also Mothra is in this film, which
Yeah,
I thought was cool.
and she like revives Godzilla.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was just awesome to see secure the studios securing the rights from Toho to use these monsters.
Dude, I'm excited to see what Legendary Pictures does with all this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it definitely shows that people here do want to see this type of stuff. And I think Toho realizes that.
the weird thing for me, like, cause you're just now making me watch a bunch of Godzilla movies. I've
Hmm.
seen like seven of them. Which one? Okay, so I've seen both 1950s Godzilla films, the American recut and the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Uh, the American film they did in like 97 or 98, uh,
Yes.
which some people don't count, whatever, don't care. Um, if you're going to watch the whole thing, try to watch the whole thing. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Um, Final Wars 2014, which I wish I hadn't watched.
Hmm.
Um, GMK,
Yeah.
and what was the other one?
Um,
There's one more. I can't remember.
well, this movie.
Oh yeah, this one. So this one's seven. Um,
Yeah.
so because of this movie, I kind of want to watch like all the Godzilla movies we can get our hands on. So we're
Yeah.
gonna be writing about them because they're interesting because what Godzilla symbolizes changes from movie to movie, and um, this movie actually had a theme, unlike the previous film, where Godzilla is kind of like a guardian of Earth. and he keeps the other Titans, as they're called in this movie, in check.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they just, mess everything.
it just felt a little too lazy in the 2014.
Yeah, dude. Because, like, what was it? We talked about this. In the 2014 movie, Godzilla comes in, like, over an hour after the opening of the film. Uh,
Yeah,
and literally, like I said before, every single time, like, monsters were about to fight because Godzilla was fighting the Muto or whatever.
yeah,
Um, and the movie was about the Muto, basically,
yep,
more than Godzilla. It would cut away to people running around, and they wanted like that weird Master Chief heroic scene of a bunch of dudes jumping out of a plane.
hmm,
And I was like, I don't understand any of this. This doesn't feel like a Godzilla movie at all to me.
yeah,
And like the reason I could say that is because I watched a ton of Ultraman and watched a ton of like from Power Rangers, and without Godzilla, those would never have existed. And I lost count of the number of hours I've watched those shows. And like
yeah,
we watched 1954 Godzilla, and
hmm,
like it's just I don't know. Like part of the problem is I think uh like there's a weird thing about American movies where they have to be either serious or dumb and nobody watches them. So like this movie, like these movies try a little too hard to me to be as serious as they possibly can.
yeah,
Um, so it feels weird to me because I like the B movie camp and the over the top fights and the miniatures and like I like all that stuff.
yeah, same here.
And so I mean I get that I'm never gonna get that movie here, and I'm fine with that because I see they're trying to like do more. Some people have talked about how there's still too much cutting away. Uh, I could see that, but I'm just happy to see monsters fighting, as I think you said earlier.
Yeah,
Um, there was one thing that was kind of weird to me. Like, I think the dude over at Cinemassacre talked about how he wants to see fights during the day, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, a lot of people seem to be stuck on that. Um, and I've read some people just outright accusing the movie of trying to hide imperfections by using rain and fog. And I'm like, dude, okay, I have to dispel this real quick. If you're gonna hide imperfections, you cut away like 2014 did. What
hmm,
you don't do is use rain, fog, snow, and like particles, because what that will do is it will increase your render times, and
yeah,
it therefore increases the overall time it takes to produce the animation used. So if you're gonna hide stuff, it's not that way. That I'm almost 100% sure that's not what they're doing. So if you're one of those people who thinks that, download Blender and try to render anything of any good detail on your home computer, and then throw particles into it and see what happens, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. You can try this yourself. It's not the best way to hide things. Like it just increases the amount of time you have to wait.
yeah. And I felt like they weren't trying to hide much with the rain and shit,
Nah, I mean,
cause cause I could see I could see the monsters well,
yeah, because
and
they had a lot of glow effects in this one, which illuminated stuff in the background. Like they used ambient occlusion pretty well. Um,
yeah, I agree. And I we wear glasses, and I could see them fine. I
yeah,
wasn't too it didn't bother me, is what I'm trying to say.
no, I agree. Like I could see them fine. They looked like updated versions of recognizable monsters from the Godzilla world, which were infinitely copied by other companies because Toho was so popular with it. Um,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, okay, like I
Yeah,
recognize.
and I will say there were some actually good cinematic monster shots.
Yeah. Personally, like, did you watch this for the story at all?
To be honest, not really.
Me either.
I just
Um,
kind of look at him as like a mythological story.
yeah, I mean that's what I think too. Like, um, yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely.
like the characters are kind of bare bones, and you just want to see. It's like Saint George versus the dragon to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Where like you get the basic setup, basic characters, and then they go fight this giant monster, and
yeah.
it's bloody and violent.
It's a lot like reading a fable,
Yeah, and I did appreciate some of the mythological references they made in this film.
and it was cool because they were global. Right? Like there was an idea that these monsters existed as gods globally.
Yeah, so I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, and we can be pretentious and talk about how each monster represents like nature taking back the earth from humanity who messes it up, and that's kind of
Right.
the direction this wanted to go, and it probably will, which is cool. I mean, it's about time. I don't know. Like I've been watching Japanese movies for a long time, and environmentalism is a theme even in Japanese horror. So,
Yeah, so
um,
it's cool to see it in this movie.
the weird thing about the day versus night, like it's an American thing. Like we think that for something to be scary, it has to happen in the dark.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, did they look at this as kind of like a scary thing? Like, I think that's how the filmmakers are thinking of it. And at least here, scary means dark. So
yeah,
if you want monsters to fight in the day, go tell someone you want monsters to fight in the day.
hmm
Because that is a deeply rooted American aesthetic choice that comes from German expressionist films, like in the 20s and 30s and all that,
yeah,
which was then later adopted by film students who watched those and then made other horror movies. And then we could talk about the Hays Code and limited budgets and high
right,
contrast lighting and I don't know.
yeah,
If you guys want to hear that kind of nerdy shit, we can definitely talk about that nerdy shit. Um, I don't know how much you guys want to hear of that. Would you recommend people go see it? Like, okay, well, let's ask this a different way. Who would you recommend to go see this movie, and who would you tell to skip it? What kind of audience?
that's a tough question. I would say, uh, just anyone, Godzilla fans included. Like, especially if you're a Godzilla fan and you like all that small details and trivia
Yeah,
and like I do.
I feel like this movie is a step in the right direction for the Legendary Pictures monster
Yeah,
first.
and I'd say even for people who don't know much about Godzilla or who only watched the 2014 one, I'd still say go see this one.
I mean,
Like, if you're one of those people who actually liked it and you had no prior like Godzilla experience,
yeah, then this is gonna give you more of what you want, and then it's gonna be better, in my opinion.
yeah. So I'd say I'd recommend this movie overall to just about anyone. If you don't like weird sci-fi plots and giant monsters, well, this
Right.
isn't
Well,
gonna change.
like if you're one of those people who's gonna sit in the theater as an armchair scientist and be like, "Oh, this could never happen," I'm like, stay home. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, I thought like this was a huge step in the right direction, and I would recommend this movie to a lot of different people.
I
Um,
will, yeah. Like if you liked the adaptation of Rampage with Dwayne Johnson, you're gonna like this movie.
yeah,
Because I consider that a kaiju film.
yeah, and honestly, I liked it better than 2014, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I did too.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like we both say go see it. If if you're a Godzilla fan and you didn't care about any of the human characters in the 2014 movie, but you just appreciated the fact that there was a Godzilla film, because there is a segment of the population that thinks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're not gonna get much like Ken Watanabe and Millie Bobby Brown basically drive the movie for me.
Yeah.
Like those two characters were the only two people I cared about. Everyone else was basically expendable. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for human drama, this isn't the movie. Um, but if you can deal with it not being that, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a much better movie. There is something there for people that actually like Godzilla movies and don't just bag on them. There's something there for people that really enjoyed 2014. I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people, but you guys can enjoy it all you want. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's basically it. Until what next time?
Yeah, until next time. All
All right.
right.